Hi everybody, welcome back to day 9 of our Move Better, Feel Better Yoga Challenge. Today we are going to be practicing our balances. So we're going to be bringing in some balancing postures. Not only that, I also want you to think about the balance as we transition from one pose to another, not just necessarily you're standing on one leg kind of poses, although they will be in here today. Props, you might need a brick or a block, you might not end up needing it at all, but it's always handy to have, and if you don't have one laying around you can use a tin of beans, you can use a thick book, anything just to raise the floor up a little bit higher for us. So let's get cracking. We are going to start our practice in Tadasana today, so our mountain pose facing the front of the mat. We're going to stand with the feet about hip distance apart, and we're going to roll your shoulders up towards your ears and let them relax back down again. Have your palms facing forwards. The chin is lifted, a little bit of lengthening through the tailbone, and we are going to take a moment to pause. Notice as you pause the physical body, does the mind also pause? Or does that continue to keep running, to keep going? As we start to bring balance into our physical practice today, it's also quite nice to think about the balance that we have in life in general, the balance in the way that we think, in our actions, in what we eat, in what we consume. All of these areas of our life require balance in them. So as we stand here, before we work on the breath, is there an area in your life that maybe you could do with a little bit more balance in? Be mindful of the thoughts, make sure your thoughts are balanced. Notice whether your mind likes to tell you how bad you are at balancing. Also notice any other thoughts that arise and see if those thoughts are balanced. Some for us, some against us, or all those thoughts against us at the moment. Just being aware of the thoughts, noticing the thoughts is very useful to our practice. And as you observe those, you can start to decide, actually, is that thought truthful? Or is it something that my mind has just made up? That way we can bring balance to those thoughts, we can release the ones that are actually are nonsense, and then we can continue to give the energy to the ones that maybe do deserve a little bit more attention. So be mindful of the thoughts today as well. From here, I want you to inhale through the nose now. Start to take that expansive belly breath on. As you inhale, feel the chest rising, feel your ribs expanding, feel your belly button flaring outwards. You can even have the hands on the belly as you do this. As you exhale, feel the belly hug in towards you. Feel how the feet maybe get a little bit heavier. The shoulders relax down away from the ears a little bit further. And again, inhaling in through the nose. Breathing in, feeling that breath. And exhaling the breath away. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale, let the shoulders relax. And continue to connect to the breath on your own for a few more moments. your feet. I'd like you to spread the toes, maybe give them a little bit of a wiggle. And then just allow the weight to shift between the toes and the heels without barely really lifting the feet. And then we're going to allow that weight to shift more into the balls of the feet, maybe allowing the heels to lift. Dropping the heels, maybe allowing the balls of the feet to lift. And now just shifting the weight from the front of the feet to the back. Notice how your feet feel, how your ankles feel. And then we're going to inhale, raise the arms up above the head. Let's take a bit of a stretch, pressing the palms away from the crown of the head, lifting onto the tippy toes. And we already require a little bit of balance here. So switching the core muscles on, pressing the palms up as you exhale, allow the heels to drop, and we're going to fold the chest forwards over the thighs. This might be the first forward fold of the day, so don't be alarmed if it feels really sticky, really stiff. It's quite normal. And then we're going to inhale, take a halfway lift. We'll lengthen the spine, bring the heart forwards, and exhale back into our forward fold. We'll then press into the feet, inhaling as we rise nice and slowly back up into our Tadasana. Once again, folding forwards. Chest, allow it to melt over the thighs. Bend into the knees as much as you need to get that connection. And then when you're ready, inhale, coming all the way back up again. As we exhale now, we're going to sink the weight down as we bend the knees into our chair. We're going to start to feel the ankles wake up. All you're going to do for a few rounds is drop the hips and lift. Bringing in some movement for these ankles. And then dropping into a little bit of a hold now into our chair. If you'd like to, you could lift the heels off of the mat, maybe sink a little deeper into your chair, or you might prefer to keep both feet completely flat on the ground. As you exhale, drop the heels if you have them raised. Come back into your forward fold. Then we're going to step our way into our plank pose. We're going to drop down onto our knees. We're going to take 3 rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling, lifting the tailbone. Drop the navel, lifting the heart forwards and up. Exhaling as we lengthen the tailbone. Navel to spine, chin to chest. 2 more rounds. And then we're going to return back to our tabletop position. 2 options here. The first one is to extend out through that right leg and reach out through the left arm, and you could pause here. This requires balance in its own right. If you feel a little bit wobbly here, you could always tuck the toes under of the left foot. Or if you want to go a bit further, we're going to bend the right knee, reach around and see if we can find that right foot. If you can manage to find the foot, press the foot into the hand as we lift the chest forwards and up. And we're going to hold here for 3 breaths. 1. 2. And 3. Slowly release. Taking our time to exit out of poses with balance will improve our balance in the long term. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Either holding here with the extension, finding your balance here, or bending the left knee and now finding your foot with the right hand. Pressing the foot to hand, lifting through the chest. 3, 2, 2, and 1. Releasing, bringing our hands to the mat, walking them forwards. We're going to tuck the toes under, and we're going to send the hips back and up and into our first downward facing dog. So the first downward dog, as you have gathered by now, sometimes takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more love on that first round, and that is absolutely fine. Pedal out as much as you need to, you can wiggle as much as you need to, you can shake the hips from side to side. Try not to hold the breath here. Maybe you need a bit of stillness, in which case feel free to hold the downward dog. 3 more breaths, either in stillness or pedaling out. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start with the right side. So we're going to inhale, take our right leg up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, step your right foot to the front of the mat. We're going to come into our high lunge. So as we root into the feet, we're going to rise up through the rest of the body. And as you might notice, this even requires a little bit of balance. But what we're going to do here is going to fix your gaze ahead of you. Take a breath. Ground into the posture, and then when you feel ready, you're going to very slowly let this left knee come to hover above the mat. Inhale, slowly coming back up. Exhale, bringing it low. Inhale up and down. We're going to hover here. Take a breath. As you exhale, we're going to straighten that back leg and bring the hands down to frame this right foot. Now this is where you might potentially need your brick. So we're going to give the weight to the right foot, and we're going to allow the left leg to float into our first one leg balance, into our standing split. If you would prefer to use your brick, you can press into your block at any height that works for you. Or you might try and maybe take one hand, maybe 2 to that right ankle. But we're going to embrace the wobbles, we're going to embrace the falls. We wobble in life, we're going to wobble in yoga. We fall in life, and we're going to fall in yoga. And then from here, we're going to step your left foot to meet your right, back into your forward fold. Keep the knees bent, inhaling as you come back into your chair pose. Option again to lift the heels, find a little bit more balance here. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, dropping the heels, dropping the hands to the mat. Our left foot is going to stay and our right foot is going to step back as we inhale, root down and rise up into our high lunge on the other side. A moment to focus the breath. And when you feel ready, allowing that knee to dip. Noticing how our balance is required here for this action. Folding the chest forwards. This time we're going to bring the left foot to meet your right. Lifting the hips back into our downward facing dog. Pausing. And we're going to take our transition slightly differently into our standing split on this side. So our left leg is going to rise up. As you exhale, step it to the front of your mat. Press into your brick or into the mat, and now allowing that right leg to float away from the mat. So don't worry if the leg comes to here, 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 it's still a standing split. Option if you want to play with the balance, maybe find one hand to the ankle, maybe then 2, or maybe you like pressing into that brick. One more breath, step your right foot to meet your left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, coming all the way up to our tippy toes. 3, 2, 1. As you exhale, lowering those heels down, exhaling back into our forward fold. We're going to step it back into our plank pose. We can use the knees if you like for our chaturanga. Into your cobra or your upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, finding that downward facing dog now. Pause in here, 3 breaths. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to inhale, take this right leg up. We're going to step it into our reverse warrior. So the right foot comes forward, the left heel comes down. We're going to cartwheel the arms back and into your reverse warrior. Now it might be handy to have your brick in front of your right foot here. And I'm going to turn around so I'm not facing the wall. So from this position, we're going to come into what we call half moon pose now. And sometimes she can be a little bit challenging. But try not to attach to the posture, don't attach to the outcome, just see what happens. So from here, we're going to take it to the half moon. So we're going to reach forwards with this right hand. By all means, bring the hand down to the mat. I'm going to use the block. So we're going to press into the brick or the block. Slowly allow that left side to start floating up. Now, you might start to feel the wobbles here. This left hip, we want to stack it on top of your right. So really try and work on opening up that hip and then maybe opening up the arm. If you feel quite balanced today, some days we do, some days we don't, it might be quite fun to see if we can take our gaze up towards that left thumb without swaying. And then we're going to slowly bend into the right knee. Step the left leg back and into your reverse warrior. Bring in the hands to the waist. We're going to take our brick to the other side. Just straighten this right leg. Turn the right toes in, left toes out. Reversing our warrior first. So the left arm reaching forwards and up, finding that lovely side opening. And when you're ready to take it to balance, reaching forwards. Pressing into the brick. Right side opens up. Hopefully you've not put your head in a plant as well. And allowing this right hip to turn out. Really embracing those wobbles. This is a challenging pose. So even if you manage to get a breath today, we are winning at this balancing malarkey. Can we take the gaze up? I don't think I can today on this side, but we'll try. The worst that's going to happen is we fall out. When you're ready, slowly bending into the left knee, stepping that foot back and into your reverse. Well done. She's a little bit challenging sometimes. Bringing the hands down to the mat now. We're going to step back into your plank, drop down onto the knees and take a few breaths in your child's pose. Let your breathing regulate. Sometimes those balances cause us to hold the breath or to breathe really fast. Just let it all come back now. 3 more breaths. 1. 2. And 3. Now we're going to take this to another little balance at the back of your mat. So we're going to lift the hips. We're going to tuck the toes under and we're going to walk the hands back to the knees. And just let the weight sink into the toes for a few breaths. Our feet are very, very understimulated a majority of the time. And so when we tend to work the feet, a majority of the time we don't enjoy it. But that's because they're not used to that kind of movement. So waking the feet up, moving them is really important. And then we're going to walk the hands up. We're going to let the knees lift and we're going to come into our toe stand balance. We're going to lift through the chest, and you might choose to pick a focal point and to stay here. If you want to come a little bit further, we're going to challenge the balance a little further by adding movement. Inhale, bringing the arms up above the head. As you exhale, pull the hands down to the heart center. Twice more. Now we're going to see if we can lift it up into our tippy toe chair. Then we can let the heels drop. Exhale, taking a forward bend, hand to toe. And then we're going to bring the hands to the waist. Inhale as we come up in one big breath. We're going to now ground into your right foot. We're going to just allow the weight to start to shift into that right leg. And then we're going to slowly bring the left knee up. Now you may choose to pause here, and that is going to definitely work your balance, your ankle strength, your calf strength. But if you'd like to add a little bit more, which is quite strengthening for these hip flexors, we can extend that leg out in front, and we're going to hold it here. 3. Feel free to drop to a bent leg at any time. 2. I think I'm going to. And 1. Then we're going to slowly step it back and ground into the left foot. Let the left foot start to take the weight. And only when you feel focused, when you feel ready, are we going to take that right leg up. Same option if you wish to extend. 3, 2, 1. Let that right foot come down. I'm going to inhale, raise the arms up, press the palms together, and take a gentle bend to the right hand side. Inhale, coming up. Exhale as we take a bend to the other side. And back to center. Bring the hands down to the heart space. We're going to press into that right foot again. Left leg is going to float up. We're going to keep the ankle, hopefully we're going to keep our ankles. We're going to bend this left knee, and we're going to take the ankle over the right thigh. As you exhale, we're going to then sink down into a figure of 4 chair now. So keep your focus. 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, coming out nice and slowly. So even the way that we control coming in and out is really useful to building that balance. Pressing into the left foot. Right leg comes up when you're ready. Ankle over the thigh. Bending into the left knee. Now I've gone for a fairly tall, uplifted figure of 4 chair. But if you would like, you're more than welcome to bring the chest forward and take it into a little bit of a forward fold here as well. Controlling the pose, that last breath. Inhale to come up. As you exhale, take a forward fold. Take any variation that you like, either ragdoll or hand to toe variation, or if you have another you like, you're welcome to take that. Let the breath draw in and out. In and out. 2 more breaths. From here, we're going to roll the spine up nice and slowly. And as we're rolling up, be mindful of that connection between you, the feet, and the ground. We're going to come into our tree pose now, which I'm sure you may have done before. And so I'm going to turn and face you now, and we're going to press into our right foot first. As you press into that foot, I'm going to bring your opposite foot anywhere along this left leg that you might like. So it could come here to the inner ankle, and you can have both feet on the floor. You could come up to the shin. You can go above the knee if you want to go a little bit higher. We usually try and avoid pressing into the knee if we can help it, ideally. But if that does work for you, you'd have to really press into it to do yourself some damage. But ideally above the knee or below the knee is ideal. Press the leg into the foot and press the foot into the leg. Then with your arms, you can bring them to heart space. You could maybe be a cactus kind of tree. You could be a really big tree. Or personally, I like to be a tree with some wide branches. Find your gaze and focus your attention and your breath. 5 breaths now. 1, 2, 3. Embrace those wobbles, don't get mad about it. 4. Last one. Release as and when you're ready, and take the pose over to the other side. However, you might have a different variation on this side of the body. You might notice the other side, my leg doesn't go as high on this side, it does. Although we look symmetrical, although we look balanced, sometimes we're a bit out of balance with the left and the right, and that's okay. We're going to root down again into the foot, hug everything in towards the midline, so the foot and the leg are really pressing in towards one another, and maybe you want to be a different kind of tree this time around. Finding your 5 breaths here. 1, 2, 3, 4. If your balance is really on point today, why not see if we can keep that balance and close the eyes for the last breath. Notice how everything then goes, ah! And slowly releasing your tree. Coming back to the front of your mat now. We'll take one more breath in, reaching the arms up. As you exhale, we're going to come all the way down now into that toe stand. Toe stands are a little bit like Marmite. You either love them or you hate them. And then we're going to very slowly start to bring the bottom down. We're going to then bring your feet together, let the knees fall wide. If you need to elevate your hips here, please do. And as you exhale, we're going to fold the chest forward between the legs. And we're going to take 5 breaths here. 1, 2, 3. As you exhale, can the body melt down a little bit further without forcing? Last few breaths. When you're ready, inhale, slowly lift out. And you're welcome to stay in that position if your hips and your legs don't mind it. Or we're going to bring ourselves into cross-legged now and have our palms facing open. Draw your attention back inwards, and you're going to take 5 more controlled breaths in and out. 1, 2, 2, 3. Really lengthen through the spine as you're inhaling. As you exhale, feel calmer and more grounded. 2 more breaths. And then we're going to release the breath and we're going to sit and just observe the thoughts that are flowing through the mind. Acknowledge them, accept that they're there, and then allow that thought to move on if you can. If you can, see if you can distinguish between a false thought or a true one. So just quietly observing the thoughts potentially racing around the mind. Now occasionally we can get a little bit astray with our thoughts. We start to believe most of them to be truthful because they came from our mind after all. But what if I told you that in an average day you have around 66,000 different thoughts in a day? Out of those 66,000, it's very unlikely that 66,000 of those are truthful, are correct statements. And some of those are going to be things that our mind has created. And when we're aware of those thoughts and we can learn to start to watch them, we can learn to distinguish, you need energy, you do not, move on. So just sit in with yourself for another few moments, observing the thoughts without judgment over yourself. Now press the palms together at the heart center. And take in that small moment of gratitude that we give to ourselves for showing up for ourselves. And also gratitude for sitting with yourself and your thoughts, which for some people is very challenging. Remind yourself not all thoughts are truthful. Bring balance to the mind just as much as we do the physical body. I will close our practice here. Thank you for balancing with me, and I'll see you when we get to double digits, number 10.